Today is kind of special for me because I decided that I'm going to just share a lot of what I know, and some of it you will believe and some of it you won't, but that's okay. So, first of all, I want you to realize that you are a bundle of energy. You may not feel like it every day, but you are a bundle of energy. And I've done this before. Well, let's try it again. Take your hands and rub them together real fast for about, 10, 15 seconds or something like that. Just rub them till you can feel the warmth in them like that and get them going real good. And then take and just go like this. And you can maybe feel the pressure pushing back against your hands. The reason I had you rub them together was to sensitize your hands a little bit. But you can feel the pressure. And that's the energy of you that's all around you. It kind of gets compressed right there. And so it presses back against you a little bit. You extend beyond the layer of skin. Yeah, he's doing something that I taught him. Yeah, if you could see the energy that surrounds you, that is you, it would look like you'd look like a big donut without the hole, of course. You're the hole. You're right there in the middle of it. But it goes out and around and comes back. In fact, there may even be two of them, one on top of the other. One that goes up this way, one that goes down that way. Who knows? You can see that energy. But that energy field is who you are, and it is energy that is, as it goes out, it comes back and it compresses right down in the center. It compresses so much that it becomes physical. That's you. That's who you are. Now, this circulation out and back around, it comes back. It may come around that way. It comes back into the center, and it happens 1 billion times a second. Whoa, that's a whole lot. But what you're sending out in that energy is all of your thoughts, all of your intentions, all of your dreams, everything that you have. You're sending that out into the universe, and then it is returning it to you, amplified a little bit. But it comes down until it compresses into who you are. Now, I once knew a man that, excuse me, he was noted for performing miracles. And I went to him one time, this was about 35, 40 years ago, and I asked him, how do you do it? And he says, well, I get down on the floor, on my knees, and even lay down on the floor, and I start praying. And I'll pray for 8 hours, 12 hours. Imagine sending that type of energy out 1 billion times a second for 8 to 12 hours. No wonder he performed miracles, because he was sending out consistent energy, consistent for that long a time, that it began to build up until it could manifest into what he was praying for. Now, what's all this got to do with being a spiritual prepper? By the way, does anyone know what a prepper is? Who knows what a prepper is?
Somebody getting ready.
Getting ready. Getting ready for what?
Yeah, that's a
For the what if.
For the what if, huh? Okay. Yeah, prepper is someone who prepares for the future and whatever they may have as idea of the future. Now, mostly their idea is of apocalyptic type of a future where everybody is, all the communications, everything is gone it's quit, no longer working, and everyone's out there trying to get everything that you have, because they look upon human beings as being very selfish, very greedy, and very negative view of humanity. Now, there's also Christian preppers. You can go online and you can look it up. They have their own websites. They're just like the others, except they have pictures of beautiful pictures of families, and they have scripture on there that backs up their beliefs. But they still have a mostly negative view of humanity. Now, I'm not saying that being prepared is wrong. In fact, I think it's a good idea. I'm a Boy Scout. It's a Boy Scout model. Be prepared. I was an Eagle Scout, and I always like to be prepared. In fact, I've got water set aside. I've got some food set aside for in case of emergencies like an earthquake or tsunami or something like that. That's just good sense. But what I'm talking about today is being a spiritual prepper. Preparing for the life of your soul, your spirit, both in and outside of your body. Now, we're energy, and we know the energy is not destroyed. It can be changed. It cannot be destroyed or anything like that. But the soul, your spirit, does develop, evolve over the millennia. And whether it's present in the body that you're in right now or whether it's in some other body, whatever, it still is that which continues. For the consciousness continues beyond the life of the body. Now, there are examples of spiritual preppers in our history. About 2,100 years ago, a group of people decided, we've heard all these predictions and things about the coming of the Messiah, so maybe we ought to take that seriously and do something about it. And so they said, well, the Messiah is going to be a pretty spiritual person. But all people are born by a woman. So they said, good idea. Let's get young girls and let's put them in a group, in an environment where we can teach them how to be very spiritual. And they can, by the law of attraction, of course, they didn't call it that. They knew it just a law, that like attracts like. And so they got 12 girls out of their beliefs, and their group, and they put them in a special environment. And in that environment, they taught them everything they knew about being spiritual, about love, about compassion, about caring. They said one of these girls hopefully will be the mother of the Messiah. Mary was one of them. And she, as we know, was chosen to be the mother of the Messiah, of Jesus. This group was called the Essenes. At least it's a branch of the Essenes. It's not all of them, because they had different branches and different beliefs within the grouping of Essenes. But they knew to prepare, not just physically, but also spiritually. Okay, take a big breath. And you may want to take some notes from here on, because I'm going to share with you some things which are not normally known or talked about. But first, some definitions, dimensions and densities. Okay, we talked about that a little bit. The first density or dimension, and you can call it either one of them. I think you can actually interchange them, but within each density, there's dimensions, and within each dimension, there's densities. You can look at it either way. But the first dimension, of course, is that where energy coalesces into matter. This happens in the physical when we have the big clouds of gas and stuff, and they condense down into the planets and the suns. Okay, this is the first density, what they call a first density or first dimension, if you want to call it that. The second density is when biological life begins and it develops through more and more complexity. And this takes time. The first density, it took about, a couple of billion years for the all this gas and dust to condense down into the earth. And then the earth developed with biological life. It took 4.5 billion years? That's a long time. Now the third density is when self-awareness and the consciousness of spirit develops. Third density is when self-awareness and the consciousness of the spirit develop. Now this takes, I don't know, not near as long. It's been about 75,000 years here on earth. So this is when the consciousness of being yourself begins to form within the animals and everything like that. Now we get into the interesting part. Fourth density. Fourth density is a density of love and understanding. It's when the separate consciousnesses that we are, or we think we are anyway, when we begin to grow together to loving self or loving others, serving self, serving others. In fact, in third density, we have that choice to serve others or to serve ourselves. And it makes no difference which one you pick. I'll just tell you, serving yourself is a lot harder than serving others. Service to self is much, much harder than service to others. But fourth density is where those who are of a similar understanding of loving self or serving self or serving others, they group together. Of course, it'll be in a different body because of the idea of the spirit going into a different body. But they group together in order to learn more about how to love either themselves or love others. And so you have the groupings like that. It's, by the way, that's serving others and serving self. It's neither good nor bad. It's just, we call it negative and positive, but that I don't mean good or bad in that. It's just something we're learning because we're both learning to love yourself or to love others. It's still about love. Now, as they group together and develop in that and evolve in that, this may take, 40 million years. I don't know. I'm just guessing. It takes a long time. Now, the fifth density or fifth dimension, as some people will call it, is one of light and wisdom. It's where you have learned all these lessons about love, and now you begin to say, okay, let's take that. What's the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Knowledge is just knowing about something. Wisdom is living it, isn't it? So the fifth dimension is where you begin to live what you've learned about love and light. And remember, you still got two sides. Service to self and service to others. But they begin to live it. And live it kind of, I don't know. We're going. Anyway, the sixth density is when all becomes one again. For those on the service to self path, the negative path, they begin to think, hey, service to self, I'm the only one. I can't learn about unity. I can't learn about getting together as one and all by myself. So they jump over to the other side, the positive path, where they all can join as one. This is the evolution of consciousness, by the way. Now, this may take, 75 million years, another long time. But you got to remember, in these higher densities, you live longer. We talk about ETs that have almost 1,000 years of life. That's why. Now, the seventh density is where all becomes one again. But wait, there's more. Because the eighth density is the first density in the next creation series, where the creator or whatever, the source, takes all that it's learned and starts something new. So I can't talk much about that because, that's something new. Now, within each of the densities, of course, there are a bunch of frequencies. And by frequencies, we talk about raising your frequency and whatever. It's like the scale I did a couple of weeks ago on the piano over there. You go from C up to the next C, but there's a lot of different notes in between. And those are the different, we can say that one octave is what I've just talked about, all the different densities. But within each of the densities, you can have a lot of different frequencies. And we can raise a frequency and lower our frequency and raise it. So we embody different frequencies within each of them. Now, I'm going to skip over a whole lot. I'm going to skip over about changes in the DNA, genetic engineering, archaeological discoveries of sophisticated civilizations 10,000 or more years ago, because all of those concern external changes. And I'm sure, if you really want to know about that, we can talk about them later. But you got to understand that if we're serious about being a spiritual prepper, that we've got to be, like the Essenes, concerned with the growth development within. Rather than getting ready to do something, we must first get ready to be something. And this means that essentially quit using your mind so much. We're trying to think, okay, what's coming up next? What's going to be in the future? What's going to happen? Well, don't worry about that. Experience it. You're going to go through it. Experience it. Be in awe of it. Don't think about it. Just do it. That sound like an advertisement? Okay. I think that the time of following a guru or channeling or whatever of a spiritual individual is past. In the new energy, we will have the ability to discover all we need to know from the divine spark that is within us, our higher self, our connection with the source energy itself, the intelligence of the multiverse. We develop a relationship with this source energy, and we allow it to guide us. But that's different because, when you're following somebody, whatever they say, you just take it blindly. But when you're following or being guided, you have a choice. Oh, I don't like what that guidance is. I think I'll do something different. Yeah, you can do that. Of course, it's usually better to follow it, but you have a choice. Because we're going to have to learn how to go within to find the true guidance. So how do we prepare for this new energy and a new paradigm that is upon us now? It's time for evolution of humanity to take a new step in a new direction. But we cannot do that if we live in a constant state of fear and are always on the defensive. It's time to take on the qualities that Jesus exemplified 2,000 years ago. It's taken us 2,000 years just to get up to the point where, hey, we can now take him seriously. Wow, 2,000 years. So how do we do that? Well, one of the best ways is to become, first of all, to become aware of your own feelings, beliefs, and attitudes. When Jesus told Peter to forgive not 7 times, but 70 times 7 times, Jesus was emphasizing the importance of the consciousness expanding practice of forgiveness. We are one. No matter what it seems like the other person is doing, That other person is an aspect of ourselves. Now, forgiveness is always really directed toward ourselves. It doesn't mean that we condone what the other person is doing, because, be honest, we may have done something in the same spirit of that ourselves. What forgiveness does is it frees you. It frees you from the guilt of thinking you made a wrong choice. Another thing that we can do is we can suspend judgment of others. Now, it's easy to say, but it's not always easy to do. We don't know the circumstances of the other person. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know what kind of life they've had, what kind of day they've had. And when they do something that we want to judge, well, we're judging ourselves again. Another aspect of our development is service toward others. If you're going to be a spiritual prepper, you're going to have service toward others. You're going to be on that path, not the service toward self. Although we all do a little bit of both, but you just have to be 51% service toward others. Hopefully, you can be more than that, but that's all you really have to do. And you can serve others by doing something simple like smiling. Just smiling at another person. Someone that you meet in the store or having a bad day or something, you can smile at them. A genuine smile, not one of those. But you'd be amazed at what that can do for the attitude and the feeling of another person. You know, according to a lot of the prophecies that about spiritually awakening, when we become spiritually awake, we will experience more and more coincidences and synchronicities in our lives. We will understand, we'll have greater feelings toward others too, of empathy and understanding where they're coming from. It's kind of like what Susan was sharing a couple of weeks ago about in her life, what happens in the synchronicities, the things. Wow, I was just thinking about that. I was looking for that. Those will happen more and more. And most importantly, in the spiritual advancement, is to know that there is no separation. Now, Jeshua has told us that time and time again. We are one. We're seemingly separate, but we're simply aspects of the one. Whatever we do to the least of these, my brothers, we do to ourselves. The spiritual source intelligence or God or love or the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, will guide us every day. We got to trust in that. We don't grip so hard onto our old behavior. I'll put it that way. We don't try to hold on to the old behavior that you have. Rather, let go, as the song said, and give over to God, source intelligence, love, Holy Spirit. Give over to that. Now, we're not to follow others blindly, not even Jesus. And I say that we're not to follow him blindly. We are to hear, discern for ourselves if it resonates with us. And if so, then we can go on. Another aspect of developing spiritually is acceptance. The true higher density, higher definition, higher dimension definition of love is complete acceptance of something or someone. Love is completely accepting the other, seemingly other. Resistance to such thing like that constricts our vibrations, lowers our frequencies, and acceptance expands it. When we accept what is in our life at the present moment, we naturally learn and grow from it. When I amputated these 2 fingers, my first thought, believe it or not, was, this can't happen to me, but it just did. It was denial and acceptance all in one sentence. And since that time, I go on. Well, there was a little bit of time in there. Or they wouldn't let me do anything. I had that bandage on my hand. No one would let me do anything. Afraid I'd hurt myself. I finally just got to the point I said, I'm going to do whatever I want to. So there. So acceptance is indeed part of growing to be a spiritual prepper, as well as forgiveness, which I've mentioned before. When we forgive something or someone, then we're removing those cords that are attaching us to that. We're cutting the cords. And when we're also grateful for something, then we immediately put ourselves into the frequency of love. When you're very grateful, you're immediately in the frequency of love. Gratitude eliminates the separation between ourselves and the world. Now, another one of the things that to help you grow spiritually, to be a spiritual prepper, is to meditate. Meditate daily. And I know, some of you, you're tired meditation, but I've got this monkey mind and I can't seem to calm it down. Well, let me tell you something. Nobody's got a more monkey mind than this person right here. I'll show you a little trick a little bit later in the meditation. Okay. In the meditation, you can also ask for help. You can reach out with your questions. Not about your physical life so much, but because that'll just distract you even more, but reach out for help in how to become a spiritual prepper. To remind yourselves that all is one. All is one. And that you're surrounded by an energy field comes directly from the source, God. It's important to prepare for what is to come, the future. It won't necessarily be physical, although, there's nothing wrong with preparing physically for things that may come. But the sooner you get prepared spiritually, the sooner the spiritual awakening will come. The more people who awaken by turning to the intelligent source energy and becoming in a relationship with that, with God, then the quicker that the changes will come that we're looking for. We live in a 3D world, 3-dimensional, 3 densities, where energy is compressed so much that it's compressed and it becomes solid. Now, when energy is compressed this tightly, it becomes rigid, and the laws that govern it also become rigid. But when the frequency is raised and they begin to expand, then even the laws of physics change. Whoa. Scientists have noticed for a while recently that the half-life of various substances are different than they used to be. Also, you may not be aware of monatomic gold. It's a single, I won't describe it, but anyway, if you take gold and you heat it up, and it'll melt, But you keep heating it, and you got a container that won't melt, but you keep heating the gold, it will turn into a white powder. And this white powder, if you keep heating that, will disappear. And if you let it cool down, it comes back. So it was still there, it just, you couldn't see it. They have verified this in the laboratory. Whoa. What happens when they heat it up so much, the atoms are vibrating so fast that they're raising their frequencies. And the laws of physics change. Just to let you alone with it. Okay. When we raise our own frequencies, we will experience the joy, the ecstasy of living from the heart. And the laws of the world will work differently for us. More synchronicity, answers to your prayers appearing more often and more quickly. Hope you took notes on all this. Let's practice a meditation right now, okay? Yeah. So I want you to just get comfortable and breathe normally. Breathe normally in a rhythm that's comfortable for you. Just breathe it for a few moments. It is good to relax the conscious mind and the body. So allow the subconscious to come to the forefront. If you have a thought, imagine that thought to be a leaf that falls down on a stream, and the stream moves the leaf downstream, around a bend, out of your sight. When another thought appears, again, see it in your mind's eye as a leaf drifting past on the stream and around the bend in the stream until it's out of sight. Do this for all your thoughts that might come. In fact, you can make this a practice in all of your meditations to help you quiet the mind. You do not need to put energy or attention on any thought. They simply come and drift away. You're simply an observer, not a participant in the thought. Now remember to breathe easily and effortlessly. Just in a rhythm that is most comfortable for you. Just find your rhythm and breathe that way. And do that for a couple of moments now. And now, dear friends, we are all one. You are the emanation of the source, love, intelligence in human form. You're breathing in a rhythmic way, the way that brings you the most relaxation, the most peace. And as you breathe, you're asked to invite into your presence the fifth dimensional aspect you call your higher self. Are you willing to invite this gentle, sweet aspect of yourself into your presence? If so, simply say yes to yourself. And feel the incoming peace of this one. Feel yourself being wrapped in the arms of your higher self. Feel the safety and the love. For this is as everything is supposed to be. Just feel it for a few moments. Now let's go deeper. And you are asked if you will allow the fifth and sixth dimensional aspect of your higher self, the love light that you are, into your presence. You can simply say yes. And with each in-breath, you can feel your body, your mind, your emotions, your energy bodies fill with the delightful and playful energy of your higher self. With every rhythmic in-breath, you take in more and more of that peaceful energy of who you truly are. Doesn't that feel wonderful? There are no words to describe the magnificence, the unendingness, the beauty of who you are. You're loved and are loved beyond words. You are supported beyond that which you know. And it will always be that way. You are the family of love, the sweetness of love, the compassion of love. It is beyond all words. Allow yourselves to be reminded of this truth. And now, with a comfortable in-breath, if you wish, you can invite the fifth, sixth, seventh, and higher dimensional aspects of yourself to enter. Allow them to enter and to expand. To expand within you. By saying yes, you can feel the love, the wisdom, and the expansive energy of who you are becoming a greater part of yourself in this life. With each in-breath, you take in not only air, but energy of yourself. enjoy this feeling as you continue your rhythmical breathing, just enjoying who you are. You may feel and perceive different qualities of who you are. These are your higher dimensional aspects, and they gift them to you. So feel the playfulness, the unlimited expansion of who you really are. Feel the beautiful immersion as you melt into these versions of yourself. These versions are who you are. And now they are a greater part of who you are right now. They're always with you, guiding you on your evolutionary path, your spiritual path. So breathe in and know yourself. And now, as you slowly begin to open your eyes and feel the expanded awareness of who you are, know that your life will benefit from this awareness each and every day. And so it is. Welcome back to an expanded world, a new earth, a new heaven of your own creation.